Hi besties, let's talk about books. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know I went on a year hiatus after I created my first few videos, but now I feel comfortable in a new space, in a new area, that I am back and ready to roll. For this video, I wanted to just give a little bit of a wrap up of what I read in January, as well as what I plan to read for February. In January, I read 4 books, and in February, I plan on reading 4 books as well. I don't want to pressure myself into reading too many books because with life right now, I don't really have a lot of free time. So I am giving myself grace and only doing 4 books each month so far. So let's get right into it. First book that I read in January was Beartown by Frederick Bachman. If you haven't heard of Beartown, Beartown is a book about a hockey team in a small nowhere town that ends up making it to the national semifinals until something happens which kind of flips their plans upside down. I gave this book 4 stars. It took me 2 weeks to read this book, so I think that's why I rated it such a lower rating than a majority of people. I did enjoy the story. It just felt a little bit slow in the middle, like leading up to the plot twist. So that is why I gave it 4 stars. But after that, I thought it was very intriguing, very interesting, and the ending was not what I expected it to be, but in a good way. The next book that I read in January, I listened to it on audio. It was The Ruling Class by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I will preface this by saying I have read her Inheritance Game series as well as her Natural series, and this honestly was nowhere close to either of those. I personally enjoyed the Inheritance Games, like the first 3 books of this series. That is my world. That is what got me back into reading, and I will absolutely recommend them every single time. The Natural series is like if you want to read Criminal Minds in a book, but they're obviously a little bit younger. They're about high school age, but it's still very good. I loved both series. I thought it was just a fun, I thought it was a fun mystery read for the time that I needed. But The Ruling Class, so basically this girl is living with her grandpa until something happens, and he has to go like into a nursing home, and she gets basically placed with her sister, and her sister is a very important person in the society of Washington, D.C. She is involved in that in a certain way. And the main character gets sent to the school that is basically for the children of very high society in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of things that like play out. There's some things that happen, but there was a certain point in the book where something happens. It adds a little bit of a twist to the book, but I personally thought it didn't need to be added. I thought that it was not necessary, and it kind of seemed really irrelevant, and after you already get to know a lot of the characters, it didn't make sense as to why she put that in the book. And after 50%, I feel like the plot was kind of lost, and we started straggling off into like different places, and it didn't make sense to have those plot. It didn't really make sense after that, after 50% of the book. I ended up giving that book 3 stars, which I feel like is very generous considering how I just talked about it. But like I said, I did really enjoy the beginning of the book. I thought it was super fun and definitely interesting to like think about those kinds of things, like children who are, or whose parents are a part of like Secret Service or part of like the people in the White House. Like, it's really interesting to like just think about that kind of thing. The third book that I read in January was In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. I will preface this by saying I haven't read any of the other books. I know. I'm pretty bad about that when it comes to romance books that are in a series, but it's really just following like either a family or some siblings or just like a group of friends. I kind of like to jump around and then go back to the beginning and read them all again. This book is written around Madison Walker, who is the 4th sibling that we read about in the Rome, Kentucky series, and she is trying to make it out into the culinary world after going to culinary school in New York. But after some things happen in culinary school, she kind of loses her way and loses sight of what her true end goal is. But then one night she gets an unexpected job offer to be the head chef of a restaurant back in her hometown, Rome. But the problem is the restaurant is owned by her brother's best friend, James. Then you follow the story of them trying to open this restaurant and kind of with the tension and the chemistry that starts to come with it and all those other fun stuff. So yeah, this is my first 5-star of the year. I absolutely loved this. I related to Madison a lot with some of the things that she goes through in this book. That was my first 5-star of the year. And I will go back and read the rest of the series. I think that's going to be my plan this summer, is to read the other 3 of the series. The last book I read in January was 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and let me tell you, I give this book 4 stars, but it was because I felt like the beginning was a little bit slow, just trying to learn about the world and like meeting all of the people in the heist and everything like that. That is why I gave it 4 stars. But I ate this book up. It was so good for a YA fantasy. I feel like I haven't felt like this in so long when reading a YA fantasy. It felt so good. If you don't know what 6 of Crows is, 6 of Crows, you're basically following 6 people who try to complete an impossible heist. You don't have to read it in a certain order, but it's set in the same world as the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and then there is a duology after this. It's called King of Scars, and it follows a couple of people that you meet in this book. I really liked this. I was very skeptical going into this book because I tried to read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and I felt like I couldn't really grasp anything. I don't know, I kind of was like, maybe her writing is just a little too advanced for me, and I also just felt like I didn't have the mental capacity to fully dive myself into that book, so I was very nervous picking this up. But man, oh man, it was just so fun to read about how they, contributed to the heist, and some of the things that were already going on in their brains that they like already planned out, but you don't see that until it actually happens. And I think after I finish this duology, I'm going to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy because I really liked this so much that I think I will really like the Shadow and Bone trilogy as well. Starting with my February TBR, I am currently reading, like I said, I'm only doing 4 books this month just to give myself some grace. If I want to read other books or listen to other books, I totally am giving myself that opportunity. But I'm currently reading 2 of these books right now. I'm kind of flipping back and forth as well as listening to another book on audio. But I am reading the next book in the 6 of Crows duology. I am reading Crooked Kingdom. So I'm about 25% in, and I don't really want to put it down. I want to keep reading, and I know a lot of people are like, good luck reading this, good luck, like I still am not over it, so I'm very nervous about what's going to happen, but also I'm trying to savor it because I don't want it to end. I try not to read the synopsis on the back when it comes to a duology or even a series, because I don't want to know going in. I literally just want to dive in, and I'm like, okay, perfect, like don't know what's going on, but I know that this is the next book. Very excited to continue though, and we'll keep you updated on my thoughts. The next book that I am reading in February is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. I think I'm like 40% into this book, so I'm kind of hybrid reading it, like on audio and reading it physically. I don't really know how I feel about this yet, because when I read it, I feel like I can get through a lot of it, and then when I'm listening to it, I feel the same way, but I don't feel like I want to come back to it. It's basically an older woman who is retired, but she writes these letters and these emails to her family, her friends, past people that she's met in her life. The way that the book is written is it's all written by letters or by emails. It is a story, and you're learning about like her past life as well as like the people that she's writing to, and you know why they're writing to her and why she's writing back to them. There's not an actual flow of the story. It's just like consecutive letters or emails based on like dates and what's happening. That's what's making me not want to pick it up, is because I have to go back and flip back a few pages and be like, okay, what did I just, like, what emails were, or what letters did she just write, or did someone write to her, and then how can I catch back up? But I am enjoying what I'm reading. It's just how much am I retaining? The next book in February that I want to read is called The End of Romance by Lily Meyer. I haven't really seen anything about this book recently, especially like on Bookstagram, Book Talk. I'm very, very, very excited to go into this without having a mindset of what other people think about it. Okay, so the main character, Sylvie, is in an emotionally abusive marriage, and she is like, let's get out of this. I don't want to do this anymore. This is not what my life is supposed to be. So she decides to leave her marriage and go back to graduate school, and basically she has a philosophy that women will be more happy and have more satisfaction if romance was completely eradicated. Which is so interesting, right? Right now, everyone, especially last year or the year before, a lot of readers were so captivated by romance making a huge comeback. And then we have this book that's like, no, absolutely not. A romance being eradicated. So she goes through graduate school to try and prove this philosophy correct, until she meets two people. One who is emotional and compassionate and kind of heals the childhood side of her, and another one who challenges her and makes her become a better person. So it's also a little bit of a love triangle while she's trying to avoid romance. So I'm very excited to read this, and I'm very excited to give my thoughts, because like I said, I haven't seen a lot of people reading this. So very excited and very ready to hopefully share this with the world. The last book that I want to read in February is The Co-op by Tara DeWitt. I have read Savor It and Left of Forever by Tara, and I absolutely loved it. Left of Forever is one of my favorite books of all time. It is so good. I love it so much. I've listened to it twice already since it came out last year. So, yeah. This is one of the only books besides Funny Feelings, that I haven't read by Tara. I just really miss her writing, and I'm very excited for her new book Lost and Found to come out. I can't wait to read a book by her again, so I decided to pick up The Co-op. One last book that I am listening to right now that I've already read before and definitely raved about in my other videos is I'm currently re-listening to The Favorites by Wayne Fargo. Since it is Olympic season and it is the Winter Olympics, I wanted to kind of harness my love for the Olympics again by listening to this book. I really only think that you should listen to this book because there's a full cast, and everything about it, it's very much set up like a documentary, so you're listening to it and you're kind of imagining like the things that they're going through, and then the main character, Katarina Shaw, is telling you her side of the story, whereas you also have the other cast members who are basically other characters in the story who have contributed to her story, also telling their point of view and like their thoughts and stuff. So it's always just so fun to listen to that. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Like I said, these are all the books that I've read in January, or that I'm planning on reading in February. If you guys have any other recommendations or any books in here that you have read and that you liked, leave a comment down below. I hope to be sticking around more on this channel this year. I really want to explore this corner of the community, and I'm happy you're here. So enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week, and I will see you soon.